Hey, True Believers. Chris Mack coming at you with another awesome weekend figure review. Today we're going over the 35th anniversary Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4-pack. Now, if I'm correct, I think this is a Walmart exclusive. Don't quote me on that, but I looked on Bed Bag Toy Store, I looked on Megaopolis, could not find this thing anywhere. But I did see on Walmart.com that it's there, and then I found this in store. So you may want to check there. I also checked Target, it's not there. So I think it is strictly Walmart. Now, I was on the fence about this. I walked around with it in my cart for a good hour or so because I know that the one to have is that, I think it's a NECA 4-pack, and then that's the one that everyone's always looking for. I looked at it and it was a little too pricey for me, and I liked this one because it has the matching red masks, and it kind of has that black and white comic book feel to it. And I think ultimately what finally hit me, and I just wasn't paying attention when I grabbed the box, is if you can kind of see here in the background, I thought this was like a poster, but right here I just wasn't paying attention. It says bonus version of the first 1984 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic book inside. So I was like, oh yeah, because what this is inside is it's a variant done by Kevin Eastman. So I'll make sure to get a pause where you guys can check it out by itself out of packaging. I wish there would have been something with Peter Laird, but there's a long history with them. So make sure to check out the episode of The Toys Who Made Us on the Turtles, because there's a really cool history about it. So as you see here, it just says 35 years of Ninja Turtles original comic book series. This is released by Playmates, which was my childhood. And then you get all these different generations of the Turtles right here, which, the old cartoon is going to be the one that kind of speaks to my time. So you flip around here to the side, you get more of the Turtles, which looks really, really cool. You flip it here to the back, and you get that really nice black and white and the history, which I'll make sure to get close up so you guys can read at your leisure and pause it. Flip it back around this way, which lights are just not wanting to work with me today. And see right there, the Turtles right there, that's my generation right there. And then up here, you kind of get the old original 80s Turtles. Flip it back around to the front, and you get that beautiful window again. Bring it down this way, you get more of that really cool shredded generation look. Flip it down to the bottom, just says 35 years of Turtles. Playmates, love it. Legal stuff, who cares? But what we do care about is this 4-pack awesome or not? So let's go ahead and crack these Heroes in a Half Shell out of their packaging and check them out up close. And here's our Heroes in a Half Shell out of the packaging. And just after displaying them and seeing them here on the spinner, guys, there's a lot to love about these Turtles. Now, there's people that I've spoke with that said that they're not huge fans of this release, and I can see to a degree why. But I personally think these dudes look bodacious. Yes, I said an 80s word. And after you get them in some, when you work around some of the things that are the problems, which we'll get to here in a moment, you can see just how really cool and special they look, especially the old school black and white with the red masks. And also, these tech decks, they work great with these Turtles. So right here, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Ramon. He went out of his way to find some skateboards for me, man. So thank you so much. These tech decks are going to look so cool with these Turtles and my NECA Turtles for some of the photography shots that I have lined up here after the review. So appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. But yeah, overall, as you can see, guys, beautiful, beautiful looking Turtles in their own way. So I'll get more into that here in the paint apps, but just for a second, I wanted to gush over how much I really do enjoy these Playmate Ninja Turtles. So let's go ahead and get them off the spinner and get a closer look at these cowabunga dudes. Backstory on our Heroes in a Half Shell here is Ninja Turtles was created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. And the first comic came out through Mirage Studios in 1984, I believe was the year. And the idea, now, a lot of this information, I've kind of learned through the years, and just some tidbits from what I got from a really cool show. If you guys have not watched it, it's called The Toys Who Made Us. And they interviewed these guys, and it was just a really, really funny idea of what they were wanting to do. They wanted to create something new, and they were kind of bored one night, and so they decided to draw a turtle with a ninja mask, and that's kind of where they got the idea, and they kept expounding upon it, and that's how they came up with the Ninja Turtles. Now, what I think's cool, and this is something I found out years later, is the creators initially wanted to tie the Turtles universe in with Daredevil. So, when the mutagen that falls into the cracks and creates, the Turtles and Splinter and all that jazz, the original idea was when Matt Murdock saves that man from the runaway truck or whatever it is, and the truck crashes and the mutagen hits Matt in the eyes, that's how they tied it into the universe. So the same mutagen that gave Daredevil his heightened senses is the same stuff that made our heroes. So I think that's a really, really cool idea. And the original Turtles comic was really, really violent. And number one, they told the Shredder that, he needed to have honor and commit seppuku, which is, falling on your katana blade. And I believe they killed him off. I don't know how they retconned that in later issues. But yeah, I need to go back and read those because I grew up on the Archie Comics Ninja Turtles. Those are the ones my folks bought for me, which I wish they would have got me the original ones. And yeah, the original comics were in black and white. That's why this 35th anniversary looks this way. They don't look like the cartoon, etc., so forth. They have, as we can see here, the black and white look. But before we get into the interesting paint app choices, let's go ahead and look at each Turtle's weapons. So for Mikey, the master of nunchucks, they like the design they did for it. It's really hard to see. But yeah, I like how they kind of gave a little bit of the ink splotch there. Let me get some more focus because, gotta focus. Which is a really change from the ones that we usually grew up with where they were just those orange nunchucks. Those were always kind of blah. But they were more pliable, as were these. They are more, They are more stiff. You can't really bend them, which I wish they would have made these nunchucks like loose so you can actually move these around and pose them or something. That would have been cool. Or, actually made these like loose chains or something, but choking hazard, I guess. So I like the design, but I dislike, there it goes. I dislike that you can't do anything really with them. They're just kind of stuck in that position. As were the old orange ones, you can kind of bend that rope that was right there and kind of get some idea of what you want to do. So that's the nunchucks. The size, I think, are really cool. I think they're a little too big, especially on the handle, but I like the weaving they did here would lead up to the hilt. So I think the side, but then again, I'm biased because Raph's always been my favorite turtle. So I think those look good, and of course they can't make it super pointy, so it is what it is. So I like the size, good design there. And then Donnie, his bow, it's sort of basic, but I like that on the wrap, they at least kind of gave some more of that like ink blotching, kind of how if they just jumped right out of the pages. So, and I wish they would have maybe gave it some more like wood design to make it look like a wooden bow. And so you lose a lot of detail, which kind of sucks, but nonetheless, I think it's a nice bow. And I like Leo's katanas. Now, one thing leading up to why I did this here is is 0 weapon storage on these guys. So that really kills me. Now with Raph and Leo, you can do this. You just kind of have to shimmy the belt and you can get the size and the katana in right here. You can't, with Raph, you can't really do that on the sides because you know how usually Rox's, or at least the later iterations, always had his size on the side. So even if you kind of get it shimmied in there, it just does not look natural. So that kind of sucks. So you have to put it in the back, just like Leo. And see how I meant that those are huge. They probably need to scale those down just a little bit. But with the bow and the nunchucks, you can't do that because, yeah, no reason. And what sucks is these are by Playmate. You would think after having the license for so many years that they would have been like, hey, you know, fans probably want some weapon storage. Well, they dropped the ball on that. So that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves thus far. But the katana, I think they look really cool. And then what's interesting to me, like the design choice, is if I look at these up close, I think they're different sizes. So if you hold them hilt to hilt, it's kind of interesting to see that they're one's smaller and one's larger. I think that's kind of cool. Why they decided to go that route, I don't know. But nonetheless, it's kind of neat to see Leo rocking two different size katanas. I think that really helps. And of course, I like the black blotches there on the handle. And then of course, the protruding hilt, the, the guard. I don't know. I think they look really, really nice. So those are the accessories. Now for the paint apps, for the most part, they all have the same look. Oops, there goes Donnie. Bloop. Pick him back up. And then get a focus for you guys. Because, I haven't had enough coffee yet, so I'm just stumbling all over the place. Now, what's kind of neat is they all gave him different facial designs. So Leo kind of has that double grid. I wish they would have maybe eased up on the black here, because it kind of makes it look like he just chew a bunch of tar. And so it would have been nice to see some teeth there, kind of like how with, or that's Donnie, I'm sorry. Kind of like with Raph, where, you can at least see a little bit of white. So I wish they would have done that on Donnie, because that black just really kind of takes away from the mouth. And then I like how Mike kind of has this black cross-thatching here going across his beak. So that's kind of neat. And then Leo kind of has the more somber look. He kind of has that side grit. And see, you can even see teeth on him. So I don't know why they decided to make Donnie look like he was chewing on a Sharpie or something. Now, one other thing that's kind of funny is see how on these turtles, how they have the tail. Again, when I was watching the Toys Who Made Us, they said when they did these original, the original molds for the original 88 toy line, they had to get rid of the tail because in testing, they said it looked too phallic. So yeah, no turtles in the cartoons or the toys had tails for a long, long time. But now that, these adult collectors, we get it, because turtles got to have tails, man. And we understand what it is without snickering too much, because we try to be mature, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. I like the paint apps. I think that just that black and white look just really helps to it. And of course, we get the original, ninja belt instead of the name ones, which they did for the show to show kids which turtle was which, and that's why the masks changed colors as well. As with the original comic book, they had the knee pads and stuff, which I think look nice and gritty, which I think is just nice work. And of course, just the way they threw the black into the shell, and it looks like pin thatching, like you would do in an original comic book. Same thing on the mask. I think those are just beautiful, beautiful work. And they look dirty. They don't look clean, and I'm okay with that, because the original turtles, were gritty. I mean, come on, they live in a sewer, and they kind of built their home out of the scraps that they could get their hands on. So it makes sense. And of course, I think they threw a lot of the gray on the chest just to show, some ink. So they just, the gray and white does not take over anywhere. So overall, I think the paint apps look nice. I've talked to different people about this line, and some people have been like, oh, those look like trash. I'm going to wait for the colored play set, or the 4-pack, which shows the turtles with the blue, green, and orange and stuff like that. Which, if that's your thing, that's cool. But for me personally, I've always wanted something more original, comic book accurate. And these, probably the closest you're going to get thus far. All the turtles have the same articulation. So for the sake of the demonstration, I'm going to use my main boy, Raph. Now, one thing that is kind of, you have to be aware of that I didn't mention just a moment ago with the paint apps is I'm glad that Playmates at least gave each turtle sort of a different facial distinguishedness, so you can kind of figure out which turtle is which. So I have to remind myself that the single-sided grin like that is Raph. So if you take the weapons off, you're going to kind of go, wait a minute. And you have to kind of look back and hope you take a picture of the box so you can kind of remember what turtle is really what. I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, but I'm OCD like that, you know what I mean? So anyway, talking about the articulation, I'm glad that with these, you can get the head down about that much, and you can get them look up that much, and then of course, side to side. So I'm glad for that. The arms can go 360, you just have to kind of work around the shell. Arms can go up that much, and then of course if you spin it, get up that much, and then back down that much. Now this is where another one of my pet peeves with this line came. I don't know why they thought this would be a good idea, and this is where it really kills it for me. So let me get a close-up of the arms to show you guys what I'm talking about so you don't think I'm crazy. So his elbow can go up like this, and it can kind of go down like that. And of course, same thing if you spin it like that and like that. But the thing is with his elbow pad right here, you can't really get a good, and it doesn't spin, it doesn't spin 360 too well. So, okay, here it is. I had to kind of play with it a little bit. So see where they put the joint? Now look where the hand is. Look where the joint is. You would think, so that you can get the hand to kind of look like it's chopping, they would have put the joint on the side and this right there. So you can turn the hand this way and this way, but not up and down with the hand straight. You can only do it with the hand sideways. And that's really where it kills me, because if you want Raph to look like he's throwing his side back like this, you can't bend the elbow naturally. So it was just kind of like, why did you guys think this would be a good idea? That is the biggest complaint for me, because it really kills in terms of like posing your turtles the way you would want to. If you want Raph to look like, again, or Leo throwing his katana down, they should have swapped where these are. This should have went here, and that should have went here. So that is a major frustration. But okay, anyway, the legs are kind of interesting too, because they put the pivot here and they put the joint here. Again, I feel like these should have been interchanged, because now you can kick them up. Again, it's sort of a double-edged sword. So you can get them to kick up that high, which really helps because you can really get them to do. And you just have to work with the balancing act here. But with the legs like that, you can get a good karate kick going on. So that's cool. But it's hard to, so you have to be creative too. So if you kick him out this way, see how his foot comes out sideways like that, and you're just sort of like, oh. At least they put a joint here, so you can at least straighten his foot out like that. So it's not as bad as the elbows. And then his knees can go down about that much. There's no double jointedness, which really sucks. So you can only get some work like that. But nonetheless, see how the legs can go like that? That's cool. I'm thankful for that. But that's the articulation in a nutshell. It is kind of a love-hate thing. The elbows, for me, are the ones that really drive me up the wall on all the turtles. They really should have flipped those joints around. So that's probably the only F that I will give these figures. And here's our 35th anniversary Ninja Turtles next to the Playmates 1991 movie star Ninja Turtles, which was my favorite growing up. And of course, the original 1988 Playmate Raphael. And as you can see here, I have played this poor Ralph to death, but I'm so glad that I still have him in my collection. I wish his belt was better, but nonetheless, these still hold a special place in my heart. And of course, this was the squishy head version, which these are such a pain in the butt to find, so I'm still glad that I still have the original 4-pack, some soft, some hard-headed. It was kind of like a re-release. But nonetheless, I like... Well, before I can even give you guys an example, let me focus. Is if you take the 35th anniversary Raph, and I like that when Playmates decided to release this set that they gave them kind of the same scale, so you can put them in the same vehicles, like the pizza thrower, the turtle van, the sewer. These ones fit nicely, and I'll show that in the photo slideshow. But nonetheless, I think these new ones it's a welcome addition, because we kind of got this look, which kind of had the attitude of the comics, but were kind of more based on the cartoon when they decided to give all 4 turtles the different colors. That's what Playmates decided to do when they took the license from Eastman and Laird. Is they said all the turtles have red masks. How can we differentiate them? So that's where we got the belts with their names on it and the different colored masks, so that kids could distinguish who's who. So now adults, collectors, I appreciate that we have something that's more comic accurate. And I think the reason I liked the movie versions a lot more is just because, I don't know, to me, all the time, there goes Mike, is it looked like the movie, and that was what I grew up on. I grew up on that and the Archie comics. But now that I've gotten older, I'm really trying to find more comic accurate stuff, like original comic accurate, not IDW stuff. I mean, the IDW stuff's really fun, but yeah. And I mean, look at this. Even when they did the movie stuff, look at this, guys. Weapon storage. So these new ones, again, as I was complaining, come on, why couldn't they just let, stick with what they knew? And it's just kind of, come on, that's still my biggest pet peeve with these new Turtles. But they're still a welcome addition, and I said, with that ink splotches on them, they're unique and beautiful in kind of an ugly way, which really helps because the original comics were gritty and violent. And so that just really helps add to this. So I'd like to hear what you all think. I'm very, very thankful for all the ones that I have. So I have all different generations from my childhood and now a new collection into my adulthood. Overall, guys, I absolutely love these Ninja Turtles. Now, as I've said, the two hangups that I have with these figures is A, the articulation feels a little bit all over the place, which it's kind of like, Playmates, you made these and you've had the Turtles license for years, that, you maybe kind of want to double check on that. I'm just saying. And then secondly, again, Playmates, they've had the Turtles license for years. And this is the first set that they released with no weapon storage. It's kind of like, come on, guys. That, collectors and people who mess with action figures love to be able to store the weapons. And it just sucks that Raph and Leo are the only two that you can really work the weapons into the belt, as where like Michelangelo and Donnie. Yeah, there's no way you're going to fit those nunchucks or that bow staff into the back of those belts without accidentally snapping something. So those are definitely strikes against the figures. But overall, as a whole, I'm glad that they released them. And, I say that they're beautiful, but they're beautiful in an ugly sense because of all the ink splotches, as I said, just really make it look like they jumped out of the pages of the original Eastman and Laird's comic book. And that's, I think, where I really get excited about them, is it's something that's not the cartoon or the movie. This is something that's from the books. And that's where I always get excited, is the source material. So that's why I absolutely love these Ninja Turtles as a whole. But yeah, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. And if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe, it really helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you have enjoyed this, please make sure, if you wouldn't mind, hitting that little half shell bell next to subscribe. That way, as we continue to upload content, as I said, you guys will get notified, and we just love to have a dialogue with y'all. And if you've enjoyed these figures, please first and foremost check with your local comic shop and see if anybody's traded these in or if they can order them for you. As I said, these are Walmart exclusives, but I have not seen these in the stores for a minute. Yes, I said a minute. So with all that said, stay tuned for the photo slideshow here at the end. And with all that said, I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.